Hey, how is it going? In this tutorial, we're going to go step by step from basic logging in Python all the way to cloud observability using Logfire. We're going to do some basic Python examples of moving to print to logging, then how to add the logs into a file, and then how to use the same structure that we have, but sending the logs into Logfire. So let's get started. Why logging is better than print? First, logging lets you control the severity of the messages. Is like you can add messages for debug purposes, info, error, critical, well, you have all those listed there. And then you can redirect these loggings to different handlers without changing your code. That is impossible with a plain print. And this is the foundation for observability. Now it's time to test it. So let me create a new project. Let me go here, UB-init, login example. CD login example. I usually use PyCharm, but for this example, let's use VS Code. Let's add a main file, import logging. Okay, it's giving us a lot of code. So this first part, logging basic config, is just configuring the log in the level info. Then we're going to talk about the different levels of logging. And well, this part will start the application. Well, thank you the AI for coding this for me. This part that says login get logger name, what it's actually doing is setting the logger to this file name. So we'll say like main is the file that is generating this. So let's say that we now run this program, main.py, UV run main.py. You will see starting application info main, that as I mentioned before, this is the program that is calling like the log. Well, this is the basic logging that we can do. So let's understand the different types of logs that we can do. For example, we can do logger.warning. This is a warning, this is an error. Well, we have a lot of them. So by just using logger that, you will find the different logging messages that you can do. So if we run it again, you will see that info, warning, error, critical. One question will be why the last one, that is debug, is not appearing, right? Well, the answer is because here you need to put the level that you want, and if we run it again, now debug appears. Setting a level is good because, for example, if you are debugging your application, you will probably want to log some things that you will not log in a production environment. It's time to improve the structure of the logs. Let's add the timestamp, the log level, and the message, making it easier to read and filter. And also, let's add a file handler so the logs can be saved in the file system. This will be really nice for debugging if your application crashes. Adding the structure is really simple. We go here to this basic config. Here we have the suggestion. So we just need to add this format. This is a timestamp, the name of the file, the log level name, and the message. If we save and we run it now, you will see that now is like as we expect. This is a structure, and it's much more easier later on to filter. If you search debug, well, you will see the log levels easily. Let's see a quick example of how this name, that is a module that we are using, can help us to improve the logging of the whole application. If I'm here, I will say import logging. I'll put a logger equal to get logger, and then def log test, like this, but let's call this function in the main file from hello import log test, and here let's add log test. Let's run it again, and we will see that now here appears hello. Now let's see how we can add a file handler. So let's call file handler. Okay, the set level debug. Let's use info here so we can see the difference. We can set the formatter, and we want to add the handler, but let's do it here. Logger add handler, file handler. So if we run the application again, you will see that here we have the logs, info, warning, error, critical, debug, and here we have info, warning, error, and critical, because as you can see, for the handler, we set up the level info, not debug. So it's correct. In the terminal, we are seeing all the levels, because here we are setting the login level to debug, and for the file handler, we are setting the level to info. That's why the debug log is not appearing. Now comes the magic. With one line, we're going to configure Logfire and send all the logs to the cloud. We're going to also understand how to use the span and the instrument decorator to track the performance of some functions, and also how to add a system metrics report to your application so you can monitor the CPU and memory usage. That's full observability in a few lines of code. These are the docs. I totally recommend to check them. They are very well structured, and they already have integrations with the most of the frameworks that you are probably going to use. For example, Fast API, you can just instrument your Fast API. Same for Pydantic AI. If you are doing calls to LLMs, you can track everything in this logging system. So what we're going to do now is to create a new project. So here we go to Logfire, we can create a new project. Let's call it test logging. Well, no description. This is okay. So here says pip install Logfire. We're going to use UV, so let's go here and say UV add Logfire. It's going to be adding Logfire. And then we need to do Logfire auth. Logfire auth. This is for development, because when we are doing development, we can just use a CLI and we are going to configure this project. For production, you just need to create a token and put it as an environment variable. It's very simple. But well, let's see now. It says you already logged in, your credentials. So send that to Logfire from the working directory. Use this. Okay, so let's use this project. As you can see here is configured Logfire. Let's see now. Is live. As you can see, there are no logs. So if I run the program as it is, nothing will happen because we didn't configure anything. So here, nothing appears. But let's say that you already have an application that you have your logging system up and running and working, and you don't want to change everything to Logfire, because you can just use from import Logfire and Logfire.info, Logfire.warning, and so. But let's say that you have an application with a logging system. What you can do the same thing as we did for the file handler, but for Logfire. So let's see how we can do it. Time to add Logfire now to the app. So let's import Logfire, and then Logfire configure. This is something really good, that is send to Logfire equal to if token present. I think that is like this, but it's really cool because if the token is present, it will send the logs. If not, it will not fail. So that's probably the best thing. So what we can do here is let's simplify and add the same log level to everything. So we can just add here handlers, and let's add this handler. Let's remove this part, and also we can add this one, Logfire handler. I don't know, I think that is Logfire logging handler. So is this one, Logfire logging handler. With this line of code, as you can see, as simple as that, we're going to be sending the logs to Logfire. Let's try it out. So uv main.py, this is like part of Logfire. So if we go here to this, we should see that we have the logs here. So it's really nice how easy we can send information to Logfire. Now let's see how we can use spans and what are spans. So if we use with Logfire span, and let's call it first span, something like that, first span, and in the first span we add this the info on the warning, and then we have with Logfire span, second span. We can add these other logs. Let's remove it because we are not using it. And let's add like while true, so we can see this running a few times, like this. And then let's add sleep. Okay, I forgot about time because I usually use async IO sleep, but it's okay. And now let's run this. So now we will see in the app that we are having logs arriving. You see that we added the span, so this is a span, so you can group parts of the actions that you are doing. So it's really nice. This is something that I really like from some of the applications that I'm using. And you can also see the time that each of the methods took to run. Like, it's also something really cool because you should not like optimize your application before knowing what can be optimized, right? It's like you first need to understand what are the functions that are taking the most of the time, and then how you can improve those. And then the next thing that you can do here is like, besides having the logs running and this visualization, you can query and filter logs. For example, you can filter before was but well, let's say message like, where is message like, well, level here, info, or let's say errors. So well, it's like a SQL format that you can add your own queries and filter the data as you want. So it's really nice because you can save these queries and then reproduce them, or just call the views that you want. I use it a lot for some of the programs, mainly for filtering just the errors and all that stuff. Another feature that I would like to show you that I use it a lot too is like, let's say that we add like def instrumented function, and we add like just time sleep 1, logger info, time, whatever. We can return. We don't need to return anything. Here we can just use logfire.instrument function instrumented 1, let's say, whatever you want. And with this decorator, this function will be already tracked. So let's add here like instrumented function here. Let's rerun the application. So with this decorator, we're going to see, now let's clear this, and now you see that here function instrumented 1, and here we have this log called here. Another feature that I like a lot in the integrations is the system metrics. So we need to install it. Let's go here and install it, and then we just need to add this line that I added here, instrument system metrics. So with this line only, we can just run the application again. And if we go here to our app, and we see the new logs coming, if we go here to dashboards, add a new dashboard, basic system metrics, if we enable this dashboard, you will see that we already are getting the system metrics that has the process counts, the CPU usage, the memory usage, and so this is amazing. It also has alerts, so you can like add new alerts based on some SQL queries. If certain condition is met, there will be like a kind of cron shop running. But in my case, I mostly use it to understand the current logs that I have for my application, and set up some dashboards to understand the system metrics and if there is something that might need a fix. So I hope that you like it. If you want to know something else or learn something else about this or other topic, just let me know. Thank you very much.